1.
Reviewing the CPK-3 FM, medium wave and shortwave receiver kit. It's a short form kit. All the parts are in the bag, mostly through hole components, but there's one surface mount IC which frankly scares me. If I'm going to make an error, then that's going to be it, and the whole kit will be useless. Keep watching to see if I succeed in building and getting this to work. I've reviewed other CR kits with good results, including some transceiver kits, so let's see how we go with this one. It's a battery holder, printed circuit board, passive components, 3 potentiometers, that will be the tuning, volume and band change. I'll talk about that in more detail later. The printed circuit board, and most importantly, the IC. This is the heart of the receiver and does everything. The instruction manual is on the CR Kits Group's IO page. I'll have a link in the video description. It's pretty short at the moment, but there is a step-by-step build video, and if past kits are any guide, the manual will eventually be expanded with more detail. As for the schematic, pretty simple. There's no front-end tuned circuit, so I'm going to guess that its strong signal performance won't be all that good. But if that is a problem, then you can always have a good antenna coupler, at least for HF. You could make up a selective tuned circuit or pre-selector, and that will help if you have any problems there. A lot of use of potentiometers, both for tuning and band setting. And gain, looks like it's got a headphone output, so you could either use headphones or plug in a computer speaker or use an external amplifier. There's an LED to tell you that it's on, and an LED for tuning, which, if we get this working, we'll check its function later on.
Solder SMD part.
I do have a few of, but I have a bag of transistors that I erroneously purchased when I wanted to fix my Rockmite 40.
Most important is the orientation. Pin 1 is where the dot is, and that's up. I think I've made a good start. The first pin's anchored and the rest align, so time to finish the job. Not the neatest, but the hardest part of the build is done. As for the resistors, they're blue bodied, and I've given up reading colour codes on them, so always measure them with a multimeter.
Actually, you can solder from this end. I think this is still possible. Selector of the span, and you use your hand to hold it in place. And
something important with the LEDs is they are polarized components, and the plus symbols are on the board, but you do need to be looking carefully, so just pay attention to that. Can you see the mistake I made here? Yep, the most fundamental mistake in electronics there is. Wrong polarity. Got the receiver set up, headphones plugged in, antenna connected, and the battery's here. I've turned it on, and no joy. First thing was I measured the voltage across the terminals here, and nothing, so voltage wasn't getting through. Now these are quite old batteries, I've had them for a long time, so I was wondering about them. But then I probed around the battery holder, and as soon as I stuck the probe in here, the LED came on. So I think there is a bad connection in the battery holder. You can't hear this because I'm wearing headphones, but I am hearing a faint hiss. So just to give you an idea, the left is the tuning control, middle is the band control, and right is the volume control.
The famous VACC orange sign this summer. VACC
to it, and why is it coming to Australia? It's been an institution in Austin, Texas for many, many years.
Trying some different bands. This is the FM broadcast band. I'll just do a band scan of it. And it is driving an external speaker, so it's not a headphones only radio. I think it sounds quite good. Now, we're in the AM broadcast band. This is a country station, but it is after dark. Now, here is ABC Radio National on 621. It's a country station, just below 621.
I thought I'd start with Little Richard's Putting the promo without me.
The LEDs come on the local stations.
Just keeping her mind on the job. She's a very talented filly, and she gets home. Sunny Honey Rider. Little Richard.
These would be country or even interstate stations. Something a bit odd is that with the weaker stations, I think that one's in New South Wales. It sort of gets louder and softer. You might have heard the effect. There's some horse. This is a local airport, probably about 10-15 kilometres away, and it's its NDB. So we're now in the long wave, one of the long wave bands. And you can just hear the automated talk there. But there is overload coming from the AM broadcast band. There's signals there. So just move the wire away. Still getting interference. Or LTV. That's probably about 150 kilometres from here. I think it's 486 kilohertz. Now in the shortwave range somewhere.
And shouted, "Old man, if you run out of money, just come back. I'll have plenty."
It's almost like it's got a squelch and it's breaking the mute, because I think the signal needs to be above a certain level. Just tighten the coupling a bit. Maybe I'm slightly off tune.
On C, the old elder asked,
and you know that you're on a different band. It's sometimes a bit hard. You just hear it go silent for a short time when you move the band control, which is the middle one. Here's quite a strong station. The LED comes on for that.
Shufenyan chuckled. Then shall we go to the crappy Wudang Mountains and make trouble for them? Sure. Wudang Mountains was the Taoist shrine in the previous dynasty until the establishment of the Liang Kingdom. 100 iron cavalries from northern Liang swarmed towards Wudang Mountains archway.
Will this receiver hear amateurs? The answer is yes, although tuning is fiddly, and with all those bands you might be quite lucky. This is, I think it's either 40 or 80 metres. Now this is the telescopic rip the kit is supplied with, and I've just got my outside antenna that I'm loosely coupling. I tighten the coupling. It improves, but if it's too tight, you might get breakthrough from broadcast or other stations. Now the thing about this is that, of course, this is an AM only receiver, and the only reason why I'm able to hear SSB is I'm using a signal frequency beat frequency oscillator. This oscillator is about a metre away from the receiver. It uses a ceramic resonator on 3.58 megahertz, but it covers frequencies either side. And you just heard VK90AR, and that's VK3TKZ there. Now if we move the beat frequency oscillator too near the receiver, then it goes dead. It's just overpowering it. This is a very sensitive receiver, and it needs to be moved a fair distance away. I'll just directly connect it. I don't think the result's going to be very good. And yeah, it's just overloading it. So you need loose coupling, and the ideal thing is to build a bandpass filter. I don't think it needs any more gain. This receiver does have a lot of gain, but just so it doesn't need to be a pre-selector, but just a bandpass filter will, I think, do wonders. And it can also help you identify what band you're tuned to. You could make a bandpass filter out of, maybe you could use a single tuned circuit, but you'd probably better off with a double tuned circuit. And you can use RF chokes for that. I sold as RF chokes are really just inductors. 4.7 microhenry and about 100 picofarad will resonate on 7 megahertz. If you want 3.5, then you want around 10 microhenry and 200 picofarad. So you could make some that covers maybe a few ranges to cover the lower HF bands. You might even be able to get 80 and 40 meters in the one coverage range. there is an English language data sheet available for the KT0936M chip. That's got a block diagram and talks about the different ways you can set it up, specifications. There's the pinout. The band changing is quite complex. I haven't gone into it, but basically if you've got a particular resistance between a couple of connections, then that changes the band. And on this list you can see all the variations, like we'll just zoom in. FM 1 to 4, medium wave 1 to 4, there's 2 long waves. There's a lot of frequency ranges that are overlapping, so there's the option of a wide coverage shortwave band, like this one's 2.95 to 13.05. Then there's ones that are narrower bands, like 3.5 to 4.25 there. That would be perfect for amateur band reception, as well as the 75 meter broadcast shortwave band. And so it goes. The highest, there's a band there, 17.95 to 28.55. So I haven't had a tune around there, but in theory it could be useful. You could hear 27 meg AM CB on it. And I think somewhere on the sheet it said it can go up to 32 megahertz, so that could be a possibility. Anyway, there's a lot of bands, a lot of them are overlapping. Well, there's 50 shortwave bands. Oh, here we are. There's your resistances. They need to be within 1% to get onto the right band. There's a diagram of how it's set up. But in this kit, it's just got a 10K potentiometer that you set, and that can go through the various bands. It's there, if you want, on the CR Kits Group's IO file section. How much is the kit? $14.50 US for the KT receiver and the mini whip, which you saw operating. So I reckon that's pretty good value for money. It sounds quite good. I liked the quality on both AM and FM. I suspect that there would be issues if you were very close to a broadcast station. Shortwave, I suppose you could say it's an experimenter's receiver. I think there are probably modifications like pre-selection, making the band selection easier. Adding a BFO, then you'd be able to receive SSB as well. But as a receiver that you could build in a small plastic box, it's a short form kit, so you're only getting the circuit board and the battery holder and the antenna. So maybe a little soap dish might be okay for the enclosure. That shouldn't cost very much. But if you did that, you'd have a little portable receiver that you could take anywhere and just listen. And if you're the type that just likes listening to random signals, doesn't care what frequency they are, then this receiver can actually pick up quite a lot, as you just heard. So definitely recommend it. Not as a serious receiver, but for the construction experience. Note though, there is that surface mount chip, and you do have to put that on the board yourself. I had a lot of fun building it and can recommend it. So thanks to Adam, BD6CR, for the review unit. Details on the CR Kits website, which I'll have a link to in the description. Do you want to get the most from your portable QRP operating? Good Antennas is a great place to start. Find out how I succeed with my 2 books, Hand-Carried QRP Antennas and More Hand-Carried QRP Antennas. They're big sellers with favourable reviews from all around the world. To learn more, visit VK3YE.com or search the titles on Amazon.